Alrighty, so it's been a while since we've done one of this, which is the news of the week episode, and today we're gonna do one of it, looking at the news that has happened in the past week in MLS. And unfortunately, we have to start on a bit of a sad note as we see another former MLS player that sadly passed away this week, as former SKC player Gadi Kinda sadly passed away due to illness. There was report a couple of days ago that he was battling some serious illness. Sporting KC and all the players even hold up Gadi Kinda jersey before the game begins. But yeah, it's very sad to see that a couple of days after that has happened, he has sadly passed on. And certainly my thoughts and prayers and condolences toward his family and even for Sporting KC as well. I mean, he was a really good player with Sporting KC. Definitely one of the biggest bargain signing that Sporting KC got right and played a huge part to that Sporting KC team that did really well when he was on there. And yeah, sad to see that of course happened. And I'm assuming they're gonna definitely have a tribute that is gonna be coming up. I believe Sporting KC is playing at home this week against New England, so won't be surprised if they are gonna make a tribute and maybe even a tifo as well from the culture from that is to pay tribute to the late Gadi Kinda. Now, moving on in terms of the next news, and now talk about some more positive news. So, the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinal matchup and hosting priorities in the final and semifinal is set. I'm kind of surprised the fact that the U.S. Open Cup decided that we're not just gonna show you what the matchup is gonna be in the quarterfinal, but we're also gonna right away talk about hosting priority. Usually, when it comes to hosting priority, it's usually the semifinal kind of stage where they do the draw that usually they do hosting priority. But nope, it seems like they just say let's get this done over with and see exactly where exactly the final is going to be taking place and also the semifinal that is set. Now, before that, in terms of the quarterfinal matchup, and this is also the first time that we're going to see every MLS team that is going to be playing in the quarterfinal. This is the first time that has happened since 2015, and in the Eastern conference at least in the matchup. Well, I say Eastern Conference, but both group is basically divided in East and West. I might as well actually just say it's the East group. So in the East group, we have the matchup between the Philadelphia Union and the New York Red Bulls, and then in the other matchup, we got DC United versus Nashville SC. Now, when it comes to hosting priority in the semifinal out of the East, the Red Bulls does get the number one hosting priority, followed by Nashville SC, and then you have DC United in the third hosting priority. And unfortunately for the Philadelphia Union, they will definitely not host the semi-final. And by the way, the hosting priority in the final is going to be coming out of the West group as well. So sorry, Union fans. Yeah, but besides them playing as hosts in that quarterfinal game against the New York Red Bulls, yeah, from then on they're pretty much going to be on the road if they want to have a chance to finally win the U.S. Open Cup. Now, looking at the West Group itself, so we have Minnesota United that is going to be playing against the Chicago Fire, and then you have the San Jose Earthquakes that's going to be playing against Austin FC. I'm actually going to attend that game as well and make a Sports Talk series episode. But when it comes to hosting priority as the West Group in the semi, you have Minnesota United as the number one spot. Then you have Austin FC as number two. Then you have the San Jose Earthquakes at number three, and then unfortunately the Chicago Fire will not have the ability to host a semifinal matchup, but at least they still have a chance to host the final if they are able to get there. But one thing I would say is that the road through the U.S. Open Cup will definitely go for Allianz. Minnesota, of course, the lucky ones in terms. So not only get a chance to host a quarterfinal matchup, but they pretty much are going to be hosting for the rest of the way as well. And I'm really hoping this is a not only a big win for the club and their chances to win their first major trophy in their MLS history, but this is an opportunity for the club to really take this tournament seriously. I think this is the thing that kind of frustrates me about Minnesota with the fact that I don't really think they have kind of taken that too serious until yesterday when they actually decided to put some of the starter in, and when Aaron realized that we better put the starters in and hope for the best, because losing to St. Louis at home is definitely not a great result, especially after they beat them over the weekend. But yeah, this is a huge opportunity for them to go deep in the competition. It won't be an easy quarterfinal matchup. Chicago is a really good team, and they've already caused some wins on the road. Especially this is a very good road team this season. Greg Berhalter's side, and not to mention there's also a chance I might see a Blues not derby in the semifinal. I mean, there could be a chance both of my team might be meeting each other in the semifinal, and that's going to be an interesting watch to see, knowing one of my team will make it to the final of the U.S. Open Cup, and not to mention hosting that final in the U.S. Open Cup as well. Now, moving on in terms of the next news, so the Kevin De Bruyne sweepstake definitely had a big news coming out of this week, as Napoli and the Chicago Fire are now rumored to be leading the race to sign Kevin De Bruyne, and from what I also heard, it seems like Chicago is the leading candidate to sign Kevin De Bruyne. Now, this is kind of interesting because when you look at the Chicago side, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see where Kevin De Bruyne would fit in this team. I mean, they already have a decent number 10 in Brian Gutierrez, so this move kind of doesn't make sense in a way, but I guess maybe this is just kind of bring butts to the seat because Kevin De Bruyne is definitely a big name, and add another big name European player that might be on the downward turn of his career, might be near the twilight of his career. But hey, at least you brought a big name to your club. But again, it'll be interesting to see where he, of course, would fit. And I don't know if when they decided to bring Kevin De Bruyne, he's going to be kind of like a backup option for Brian Gutierrez. I mean, I'm assuming that can't be the case, especially if this is a DP signing, and you usually don't bring a DP player, even if there is a big of a caliber name as Kevin De Bruyne is, to kind of have him just sit on the bench. So I'm very interesting to see how it is. And I also, as I said, feel bad for Brian Gutierrez, the fact that he might be sacrificed in this move. Or maybe Chicago might realize that, it seems like a lot of teams might be looking for Brian Gutierrez in the summer transfer window, especially in Europe. I'm pretty sure he's been getting some offer, especially of how well he's been playing for the Fire these last couple of years. So maybe this is kind of just a safety blanket, realizing that if they do decide to move on from Brian Gutierrez, I mean, bring the likes of Kevin De Bruyne is definitely not a bad option, isn't it? Now, Inter Miami did make a signing, and they're actually the only team that made a signing off of free agency this week, as they signed William Yarbrough off of free agency. Now, I don't know what to say about this signing other than the fact that this is definitely a weird one. I mean, as a Quakes fan, it is pretty clear why the Quakes did not keep William Yarbrough. I mean, he is arguably probably the worst goalkeeper last year as a starter, and there's no doubt he's not starting caliber material at all. He might be lucky, maybe be a backup quality material, so I guess this might be just kind of a third choice option for Inter Miami. I mean, the starting goalkeeping option, it is starting to become a bit of a concern for this Inter Miami team. And later on today, I'm actually going to be doing a video looking at Inter Miami and what has really gone wrong with this team and how can they fix it. And I'll definitely mention the goalkeeping situation besides the defense, because while yes, everybody focus on the defense, that has been a problem. The goalkeeping has also been a problem for Inter Miami doing this bad run of form. I mean, Oscar Ustari has looked nothing like the goalkeeper that what he was in the beginning of the season, where he was actually lights out in the beginning of the season, but lately he's been making mistakes after mistakes, and are giving up goals that you do not usually see a starting caliber goalkeeper in MLS made over and over again. So again, I don't know if this does really move the needle, if any, in terms of how Inter Miami decided to get themselves out of this bad run of form. But hey, at least they signed a body in joining this Inter Miami team. Though that being said, you got to kind of question what are they gonna do with Rocco Rios Novos. I mean, Rocco Rios Novo, I don't know what he needs to do to maybe get some chances, or maybe they might be thinking about moving on from him, because when you're a team that you have like 4 goalkeepers on your roster, that is way too many goalkeeper on your roster right now, and it'll be interesting to see what they'll do to him during the summer transfer window, especially with teams that maybe need some help in terms of the backup goalkeeping option. Now, St. Pauli has extended James Sands loans through June 2026. Now, James Sands, of course, played a couple of games for St. Pauli, but unfortunately last year he suffered a season-ending injury, and there was definitely a question whether or not is he going to be going back to NYCFC as a result of that serious injury. We have seen before where players go to Europe and they suffer a serious injury, and next thing you know, it just didn't quite work out. They have to come back MLS, but that doesn't seem like it's kind of the case. It seems like James Sands is going to stay with St. Pauli, and St. Pauli seems like they believe that he is going to be good for them, and they definitely think that he deserves a second chance coming off of injury to see what he can do. And there's no doubt that if he does very well, I wouldn't be surprised that not only the fact that he won't be coming back to NYCFC, but he might be finally getting another move, or maybe even St. Pauli might just kind of purchase him outright. I'm not quite sure if there is an option to buy in terms of this move, but yeah, certainly this is an interesting decision. At least we usually don't see European team decide to give players, especially American players, a second chance after suffering an injury doing a loan move. So it'll be interesting to see where if James Sands can make the best out of this move. Now, moving on in terms of the next news, and now talk about some Gold Cup news. So everybody are excited in terms of what Maurizio Pochettino is going to do with the Gold Cup roster. Well, now it seems like there are sources saying that they're going to be missing a couple of key players, as Yunus Musa and Christian Pulisic has been reported that they will not be participating in the Gold Cup. Now, there's been some mixed reaction to this, and I can understand on both side of it, of the positive and the negative side of seeing both of those players not playing, especially for Christian Pulisic as well. He's pretty much the big talking point, where there is definitely some mixed reaction where people say that this is a good move, and then the people say that this is not a great move. The good move part is that he did mention the fact that he really wants to rest up before the World Cup, and it's understandable. He has suffered through injury problem throughout his career, and with the way that do we really want to play another competition that in this Gold Cup? I know this is the last meaningful competition that the U.S. are going to be playing before the World Cup, but for a guy that has some injury problems, and it just kind of feel like he needs to have a rest, with the toll that it's been taking his body playing a lot of games. Maybe the summer rest will do for him, so that he can freshen up heading into next season. Maybe play well for AC Milan and carry that club form to the national team level, just as the World Cup begins. Now the problem, of course, with the people that saying that this is not a good move, and this is not a good look for Christian Pulisic, is the fact that this is the last good or the last meaningful competition that the U.S. are going to be playing in the last meaningful competition that the U.S. are playing before the World Cup, and that there's that mentality for the U.S. that a lot of these big name kind of player, it feels like they have a attitude problem, and also a mentality problem as well, where they just don't feel like they have that mental strength of carry the team, and also win these big games as well. And it's rightfully so, because when you look at how the US has been performing these meaningful competition in Copa America, and even in the Nations League as well, you can see these players that play in Europe, they just don't show that mentality to carry the team on their back, and able to progress either into the next round, or even win a competition that the U.S. Clearly should have won in the Nation League. So them sitting out is definitely not a great sign to see that. It feels like they kind of don't care about the national team level, and not to mention with the way that there's no guarantee the fact that even if he is going to be freshened up heading into to next year, there's no guarantee that even if he plays in the club level, we can translate into the national team level. And in many ways, I feel like that's kind of the problem for the U.S. so far, where a lot of these players playing out of Europe, while we hear all about their success story playing for club level, they don't do that once they play on the national team level. So yeah, again, I can understand both sides of the conversation in terms of seeing some of your best player not being able to participate in the Gold Cup, and this also kind of makes it interesting to see how the U.S. is going to do heading into the Gold Cup. Especially, I expect we might see a heavy MLS kind of product heading into this Gold Cup that is made out of the U.S. team, because when you look at the next news I'll talk about, when you look at Maurizio Pochettino naming their January training camp roster, there was a lot of players on that roster that is made out of players that play in MLS, and it's definitely a little bit more than some people would like, and there's definitely going to be some U.S. fans, especially the Doomers out there, that's going to be really ridiculing Pochettino by making this roster, and that it feels like this roster is just gonna completely set up to fail heading into the Gold Cup. But I don't mind that that is the case, and this is not because I'm a huge MLS believer and I'm a sick goals for this league itself. But I do think that for these players, this is really an opportunity for these players to get themselves a chance to see what they can do in the international level, and not to mention maybe even uh prove Maurizio Pochettino that maybe they deserve a shot to even be on that World Cup roster heading into 2026. A lot of these players is going to be really hungry, and especially a lot of these players, this is kind of a dream for them to play for the national team, especially in a competitive level like what we see in the Gold Cup. So I do think that with that hunger that we show, which is something that it kind of feels like it's lacking with this U.S. team in the past couple of years, this actually might be a good thing rather than a bad thing. Now the talent obviously won't be there with this team. It will definitely be a weaker team than the previous U.S. team, but I think it's also kind of been proven the last couple of years that it doesn't really matter in terms of the ta- talent of the U.S. team. This team can be very talented on paper, but the reason why they can't win is simply you have players that just have weak mentality and are unable to carry the team on his back, and most importantly, some of them not even play for their country with pride. And when you have that kind of mentality, it is no wonder why the U.S. didn't do well in Copa America, getting grouped at home, and then also losing in the Nations League to Panama again. Now, moving on, in terms of talking about other news that is kind of unrelated to MLS, but certainly important news to talk about. So, Sacramento Republic have submitted a plan to build their new soccer specific stadium at the rail yards. This is kind of a surprise considering that I thought they already submitted that plan a long time ago. But I guess, this plan that they have, it's going to be a 12,000 to 14,000 seat stadium that will have a chance to expand to 20,000. And it's going to be interesting to see whether they will do it, especially with the way that I think it's pretty clear that Sacramento chances to MLS has pretty much been all but gone. I don't think they're going to come to MLS, and I think with the way that the USL have announced that they are going to not only have promotion and relegation, but are going to create a first tier league that is going to rival MLS, known as the USL First Division. Yeah, Sacramento is definitely thinking about staying there, and most likely they're going to be that team that will be participating in the inaugural year of the USL Premier or Premier League, or even the first division. That is, I say the Premier League mainly because the USL basically follow the same system as the English League with League One, the Championship, and I feel like they just might as well rename that USL Premier League. I mean that would some might say that's kind of a copycat in terms of the English League system. Well, they're already kind of copying cat when they decide to name their different division in Championship, League One, and League Two. That is, and especially now that they have promotion and relegation. I mean, you might as well just call it the USL Premier League instead of potentially calling it the First Division, as that's the name that is proposed. But yeah, once they do get in that first tier, there's definitely a plan that they are going to expand the stadium to 20,000 and also add a canopy as well. I am really surprised that they decided to not add a canopy in that stadium. If you've ever been to Sacramento in the summer, it's not fun. It is brutal. It is really hot. There's a reason why Sacramento games are always starting at 8 o'clock in the summer, because you simply cannot play in the daytime. Even when it's like 7 o'clock, it is still blazing hot in the weather. And yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they might not think about adding a canopy to just kind of at least shield the fans in terms of the heat and also the sun that is going on, at least in the original phase. But I believe in their second phase, they're going to say that they're going to add the canopy and not to mention expand the stadium to 20,000, because they're assuming that once this team does make it to the USL Division 1 and this brand new league that is, it definitely could attract almost a similar amount of fans as what we see with MLS, because this brand new division is going to go head to head with MLS in terms of the first tier status in US soccer. Now, Boss Legacy, the NWSL team that's going to be coming into the league next season. So they announced that they are going to be playing at Gillette Stadium next year, at least for their inaugural season, because their soccer-specific stadium, White Stadium, is still under renovation, and currently are actually delayed because of renovation. So as a result, Boss Legacy will be playing at the Rev Stadium for a bit, and that should be kind of interesting to see how New England is going to balance the the schedule with the way that you're gonna have to balance the schedule where sometime an WSL team might play some games alongside with the New England Revolution. Now the good news is the fact that because Gillette Stadium is turf, and this is not a great news, but it's kind of a good news in disguise of the fact that because it's turf, it's probably much easier to maintain compared to it being a grass pitch. So I think that's why you can play as many games as possible and not really have to worry about the wear and tear of the grass. And not to mention, we have seen other NWSL teams that have ground share with an MLS team as well. In fact, we have seen a lot of the NWSL team pretty much ground share with MLS team. That is, so this is not a big surprise, but ultimately, this NWSL team, they really want their stadium that they're going to be playing to finish on time. And I didn't say new stadium because White Stadium actually exists. They're just doing a major renovation right now to convert this into a soccer specific stadium. And from what I already seen the image, it looks like it's a very beautiful soccer specific stadium. Something that I feel like that kind of a stadium, maybe the New England Revolution can play in that stadium as well. Maybe even ground share that stadium because there's always been a lot of talk of New England potentially getting a soccer specific stadium, and it's kind of interesting that they might not think about going to White Stadium and maybe ground share with the NWSL team in that new stadium. Consider that area should be much closer than the city that they're designated to play in the Boston area compared to where they're playing in Foxborough. And then last but not least, the final news of this week. So this should not surprise everybody. We knew this was gonna be the case, that FIFA is gonna be using dynamic pricing for the World Cup, and there's already talks of how much the tickets is gonna cost. There's even a website that said that tickets could start at $305 just for the group stage itself. This World Cup is going to be probably the most expensive to attend out of any World Cup that we have seen, and it's no surprise. Anytime when you decided to have it in the States, the price is going to go up, and the market is going to be good enough where unlike other country where they have put up some cheap prices for these tickets because of depending on what kind of pricing market that they have. The US have such a strong economy that they're going to try to really milk the prices as high as possible because they know the demand is going to be there. Now that being said, that's still not good news when it comes to some of the most kind of lower class and even some middle class fans that they're gonna be feeling like they're gonna get priced out because of it. And yeah, I mean because of that, I think that I had my plans in terms of how many games I'm gonna be attending. The tickets are going to be really expensive, just like what we see with this Club World Cup. I think this Club World Cup might be a reason where there could be maybe some concern if you're feet with the way that I've already heard that in the Club World Cup tickets are having being tickets are still being sold and having a hard time to be selling because of just the ridiculous amount of prices that it is. And this is also kind of the reason why I'm not going to go to any of the Club World Cup game. Originally, I was thinking about doing so, but when I look at the prices and especially the mess that is going on with the Club World Cup, I mean, I think there's a lot of problem right now with this competition. The fact that they're not even marketing this competition really well is kind of the reason why there's a low generate ticket sale that is going on, and add to the factor that the tickets prices are just ridiculously expensive. Nobody is going to be spending like $200 with a family to watch a matchup that if it doesn't feature some of the big European team, nobody's gonna go there and watch the game because why shouldn't they watch a random team and have to pay so much money in terms of it, and that could be a really big embarrassment in FIFA perspective, and maybe kind of a wake up call that yeah, there's one way to of course generate revenue, but if you push it too far and the average consumer can't really meet that demand, you're gonna have problem in terms of selling ticket. And I feel like this could be the same case, at least in the World Cup, where if they really jack the price up to too high of a level, the demand might not be there, especially in terms of these matchups that are not marquee matchups. There's no doubt that I think if there's a matchup in the World Cup, let's say if Argentina play play England, for example. The dynamic pricing, I think, is going to be relatively high, and it's justified because it's a marquee kind of matchup. Or even in the World Cup, where we have seen a lot of European kind of matches, even in the group stage, like let's say Germany play against France. Yeah, that the demand is going to be there. But let's just say, if you have like Iran versus Jamaica, for example, and you decided to ask people to pay $300 to attend that game in an NFL stadium, good luck trying to sell tickets for that. I mean, even the most diehard Jamaican fans based out of the U.S. or the most hardcore Iranian fans that might be travel to the U.S. or even based out of the U.S. It's not going to pay that kind of prices just to see their national team play, even if there's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. But there you have it. That is pretty much it. Looking at this news of the week episode, as always, let me know in the comments below. What do you think of these news? And if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below. As always, but until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.